what's going on? I'm Trenton with Democracy North Carolina, and today I'm going to talk to you about registering voters. North Carolina just updated their voter registration form, and with new election laws changing, registering voters can get really confusing. So let's start with this form. So there's a couple required sections, sections 1 and 2 and parts of 3 and 4. Section 1 is going to ask you a few questions. Are you 18? Will you be 18 by the time of the election? And are you a U.S. citizen? Now, if the person checks no to any of these, you can go ahead and take the form right out of their hand. Nicely, of course, because they are ineligible to vote. Let's take a look at section 2. Section 2 asks for the person to put down their full legal name, first, middle, and last. If you're a junior or senior, third or fourth, pretty easy, but it's really important. This is information that the Board of Elections needs to have, and you have to put down your birthday, which will be either in sections 2 or section 3, depending on which version you have. Now, let's take a look at section 3. Section 3 asks for your North Carolina driver's license, ID card number, or the last 4 digits of your social security. If the voter can provide both of those, that's great, but one is enough. Now, if they're not able to provide either one of those, we can go ahead and register that voter and send out the form, but they will get a letter from the Board of Elections saying they need to verify their identity by showing some form of ID when they go and vote for the first time. Let's take a look at section 4. Now, section 4 is the residential address, or as I like to refer to it as your home address. Where are you currently living? This has to be fully and completely filled out. Why is it so important, you may ask? And if you're not asking, I'm going to tell you anyway. The Board of Elections has to designate a voting precinct for the person registering to vote, right? Right. Well, you want to make sure that they're clearly and fully writing out their street address, including any apartment, lot, or unit numbers, their city, the state of North Carolina, of course, their zip code, and their county. They should note whether or not they've lived here for 30 days or more. You have to have lived in a voting precinct for at least a full month before you're eligible to vote in that precinct. It is also really important that you update this information if or when it changes. If you want to make sure your vote counts and can't be challenged, you have to keep your address current. The last part of section 4 requests the voter's phone number. Now, honestly, I did not put down my phone number on any of the forms that people give me. 1, my cell phone bill is high enough, and 2, I don't really talk to a lot of people. But for the Board of Elections, I place it down. There may be an issue with the form, and in order to correct the issue, the County Board of Elections will get in touch with you immediately by phone. So please, place your phone number down and answer when they call. Let's look at section 5. This only needs to be filled out if it's different from their residential address. So the person has to put down a residential address because that designates a voting precinct. They only have to put a mailing address if they have a P.O. box or another address or anything that they receive mail in. For any address you put down, make sure it's a valid address because that's how the Board of Elections will verify your registration. Let's take a look at section 6. Section 6 is completely optional. The Board of Elections is trying to get some demographic information here. It will ask you about your race, your gender, and party affiliation. Now, this party affiliation thing. Please, and I do mean please, under no circumstance should you suggest that a person register under any political party. If a person asks you what party they should register for, you can say something like, sorry, I cannot tell you which party to vote for or register for. That decision is up to you. You can give them some examples of presidents or other elected officials from each party if they need more information. For example, President Obama was a Democrat and President George W. Bush was a Republican. If the person does not choose a party affiliation, they will be registered as unaffiliated. This means they will have to pick which ballot they want to vote in any partisan primaries, the Republican primary ballot and the Democratic primary ballot, or any unaffiliated primary ballots, which will only show nonpartisan races. Judges. Moving on to section 7. Section 7 is where you can list any previous registration address or name. This makes it easier to cancel your old registration and helps the Board of Elections with their record keeping. If the person can't remember all of their old information, they should put as much as they can remember, like their city or their county. Now let's move on to the very last section. The last part of the form is a signature, which is crucial and has to be done by the voter. You can help the voter fill out the rest of the form if you want to, or if they want you to, but not this final part. That signature attests that all of the information is correct and to the best of that person's knowledge. The form needs to be signed and dated. If a person signs the form and knows that the information is false, they can and will be convicted of a Class I felony. So it's a serious document. And of course, we want to make sure all the information is 100% correct. So here's the bottom line. The more stuff that's filled out on this form, the better it will be for everyone. Hopefully now you know a little bit more about registering voters, so you can hold a drive and register yourself and your friends. If you have any questions, you can contact Democracy North Carolina at the number or email on the screen. Thanks for listening.